Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Hurd.
Hey, and I'm Cathy Casey. Hey,
Hey,
Michael.
hey, Cathy. Nice to see you today.
Yeah, always great to see you.
So, something that's been coming up quite often with me and definitely with people that I'm speaking with on a daily basis is this issue about not having enough time, not having enough time in the day, not having enough time in the week. And I even, being a student of coaching and helping people with things, like I instinctively know what's behind that, but I'd love to have a conversation with you about what's happening when we don't have enough time in your experience. Where do you where
Yeah,
do what do you see
yeah.
with that?
Well, in the business world, this is a huge topic. When especially working in companies where these, high profile projects, and there's a lot at stake, a lot of money, a lot of, deadline. Deadline is kind of like people live by deadlines. And so much so that in this particular company, one of their roles was to troubleshoot one of the things that they developed. It's kind of an anti-aircraft or anti-device that keeps bombs from coming in. I forget what you call that. Anyway, so they were making that kind of product. And so they were talking to people out in the field who were actually using what they built. And a lot of times it was very brand new and they hadn't ironed out all the kinks. So if something would go wrong, there was this feeling of urgency because it was a life and death situation. If they didn't fix whatever it is that was supposed to work, then bombs could come in and kill people. So they had a lot of intensity and a lot of urging, a lot of pressure, and they talked about that. They said, you don't understand. I mean, this is life and death. And so I asked them, I said, well, if you're sitting there and you're flooded in thought that somebody could die while you're trying to figure something out, how would that impact you? Like how would that impact anybody? And then I love this metaphor. If you had to go in for brain surgery, would you want a brain surgeon who is feeling a lot of pressure and a lot of intensity and a lot of like thinking about, I better do this, or I hope this doesn't go wrong, or maybe it's not. I mean, would you want somebody flooded in a lot of thought like that while they were doing brain surgery on you?
No.
And no, of course not. And so and or athletes when they go out, football or baseball, they go out onto the field. And many times I don't know a lot about sports, but I can watch a game on TV and a lot's at stake. They've got to win the game to go to the next level. And I can almost see how tight they are and they make mistakes. So it's kind of interesting because what I see is not that the person doesn't have the skill or not that they don't know what to do. It's all the thinking they have while they're out there doing what they do. So these engineers, when we start talking about their state of mind as being the issue, not their expertise or being able to respond, if they went into that situation with a very clear state of mind, how would that be? And they said, but we're supposed to feel urgent. We're supposed to feel like, like really be able to fix the problem. And I said, well, I know you're used to doing it that way. But again, let's go back to the brain surgeon. I want him to have the most relaxed mind in the world so that the skills that he has, they will show up as needed as opposed to be in this feeling of anticipation. And so again, what you hear there, I love this word, it's called triage. And again, in the medical field, they came up this way with addressing soldiers out in the field who got wounded. The medical team would go into what they call triage. They get super, super present to address what needs to be addressed in the moment immediately, like as needed in the moment, doing triage to get the person ready to be transported. So again, yeah, you're bringing skills to the table, but it's also your state of mind. And I know many of you have slipped into that state of mind. How about for you, Michael? Have you had times when out of the blue, you just slipped into that moment of presence and you were able to deal with something just with that kind of triage feeling? Have you ever had that experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Where, thinking about maybe a situation where I can think of some personal situations where a family member has gotten injured and have become extremely present during that situation to handle it, and nothing else is on my mind.
Right.
Something that came up to me when you mentioned the sports analogy is you've heard of the 2 minute drill, the 2 minutes left in the football game. And my favorite football player when he was playing was Tom Brady. He would take
Yeah.
that 2 minutes and it would seem like he would have all the time in the world to drive the ball down the field to score the
Yeah.
touchdown.
Yeah.
And you'd look at other quarterbacks and other offenses, and like some teams could have 10 minutes and they couldn't do what he could do in two
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. 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 And again, what we're speaking to is invisible.
Mm.
See, state of mind is invisible, but it's not talked about a lot. It's kind of like we know it when we experience it, but we really don't consider that your state of mind is the most important factor in anything we do, in relationships, getting through the day, getting through your
Mm.
workload. And I know when I worked in the business world, I would ask them, now, when you're dealing with something in front of you, you're dealing with a task, you know, just one task in front of you. How many of you have 10 other tasks or items or issues on your mind while you're doing the one thing? I mean, how many of us do that? Or as a parent, we're with our kid, but our mind is on 20 other things. What's for dinner? I've got to do the laundry. Meanwhile, you're dealing with your child. I mean, we're so used to living in this mental multitasking mode we're thinking ahead, we're thinking ahead, we're thinking ahead, that we're never connected to what's in front of us. And we've just fallen into that. Or imagine this. It's amazing how we can drive. I watch drivers, and where
Right.
I live in California, I'll be cruising along and there'll be an exit coming up, and all of a sudden a car from the very furthest left lane cruises across all the lanes and misses me by a hair to make that exit.
Mm.
And you're just like, it's a miracle that we don't kill each other. We're out driving on the road. So it's just something to start to appreciate that, yes, we have a lot on our plate. We have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of responsibilities, but it's how we carry them in our mind. That's where the pressure and stress is coming from, not the actual events or what's on our plate or our environment. That's not giving us the feeling of urgency.
Mm.
But if you don't realize that, then you're just at the mercy of that all the time. And I just experienced it just the other day. I was supposed to be at my grandkids' house at 5 o'clock to meet them. We're going to go out to dinner. And, seemed to have plenty of time, but I felt myself getting urgent. Like, you know, I I want to get there. Come on, let's move. Traffic. It seems like every red light took forever. And I felt this urgency. And it's funny because all of a sudden I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Why am I feeling urgent? It was like just the other day, I could feel myself. I'm flooded in thinking about the red lights taking too long. I don't want to be late, whatever it is we have in our mind. And so now I'm feeling pressure and feeling tense. And I'm just meeting my son, his wife, and my grandkids for dinner.
Mm.
It's going to be a fun outing. And now I'm feeling all tight. But I saw it, I realized it in the moment. And I immediately just went, oh, well, the red light's long. I just literally went into, I just relaxed. I just totally relaxed. But I
Mm.
could feel the tension. See, and your body literally thought manifests through our body. So if I have a lot of thinking or urgency, I will experience it physically.
Mm.
1 plus 1 equals 2. If you're feeling very upset, you're not going to have a happy-go-lucky feeling in your body. If you're having a lot of thinking about something that bothers you, you're going to start feeling that. So the good news is it's inevitable. We're going to have this, but the good news is you could recognize when your mind has a million things going on all at once. Anytime you feel pressure, instead of looking at what's outside of you as the source, all you have to realize is, oh, wow, I'm just having all this thinking about what's in front of me. See, it's that simple.
So just that, not just, but that act of recognizing, of noticing is is I guess if we call it a trick, I mean that's the trick
Yeah,
is to notice and
that's
rec
the trick.
yeah.
That's the trick. Because we don't know how much thinking we have usually. We're so used to it. I mean, we're so used to feeling urgent and feeling rushed and feeling busy. And, some days I'd look at the clock when I used to work 9 to 5 and I think, oh my God, it's only 2 o'clock. It can't be. It's got to be later than that. I mean, I think we've all experienced this. And other days you look up and you're like, wow, where did the time go? See, we create our experience of time. Even though we have a clock that measures time, how we experience it changes. Sometimes it feels slow, sometimes it feels fast,
Yeah.
and that has to do with where your state of mind is.
Like 1 minute you think is a short amount of time unless you're microwaving something. And it's amazing how much you can do in 1 minute.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that you refer to the sports world because or people in the creative world. I remember this musician was being interviewed on one of the famous talk shows, Dave Matthews Band, and he did a lot of concerts. I mean, he was known for just doing it. He'd go throughout the whole country and do tons of concerts night after night. And the interviewer asked him, he said, "Man, how do you do that? I mean, that's a lot." And so Dave Matthew, he gets really quiet and he goes, there are nights when the music plays itself. And there are other nights when I'm playing every single note. And what he's referring to is what state of mind is he in? So if he's in a lot of thinking about, oh, I'm tired or we've got to get through this or whatever thinking he may have, then I mean, the music will sound fine to us. We probably won't know the difference, but the musician's experience will be night and day different. And we've all had that experience
Mm-hmm.
where we were just in the moment. And other days you feel every second. You feel like it's dragging, dragging,
Mm-hmm.
dragging. And so again, just consider what we're speaking to. When you have that intense feeling or you feel rushed or you feel pressure, instead of looking outside of yourself at the stuff you think is giving it to you, if you could just step back and think, wow, it's just all this thinking I have about it. And if you can kind of have just a sense of that, you'll notice that your body might start to relax a little. And then it'll gear up again, but all you're seeing is just thought coming through you. And so I'm so grateful to know that now. So
Mm-hmm.
when I do gear up just driving across town to see my grandkids and I get frustrated with red lights, all of a sudden I realize, oh, Cathy, it's just all you're thinking. And you don't have to. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. So I can get there all stressed out, or I could get there in a relaxed state of mind. You know, it could go
Yeah.
either way.
Right. Right. Great. Well, this is super helpful. A great conversation. Thanks,
Yeah,
Cathy.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was so glad when this was pointed out to me. It
Mm.
really makes a difference. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.